Hi, I'm Krista West. I'm the owner and designer of Avlia Folk Embroidery, and I'm so glad you're here to talk embroidery with me today. I specialize in designing folk embroidery designs inspired by mostly Mediterranean folk embroidery, although I also go a little farther afield and do Romanian, Balkan, Latvian, Ukrainian. I just love folk embroidery. I love the geometry, the colors, all of it, the designs. And so I design a lot of different kinds of things, but most folk embroidery designs are designed to be used. They're designed to be made into some kind of household object. So we're going to talk about this one today. But before I get started, if you're new here, I'm Krista West, and you can find all of my designs and kits and all the things at the Avlia website, which is www.avliaembroidery.com. It'll be in the notes. You can also follow me on Instagram at Krista M. West, where I post a lot of like works in process and what's going on in the workshop, all that kind of stuff. So today, I really want to talk about the usefulness of folk embroidery. And this is going to be just like a mini floss tube. I'm trying out these new mini floss tubes because I just was having trouble finding an hour to do a long floss tube. And I really wanted to kind of go in deep on a single design. So I'm trying this out. So, let me know what you think. I'm really curious to see if this works for everybody. I'm going to start my timer. I'm keeping my timer going to keep me honest. So, because actually, if you let me, I would probably talk about folk embroidery all day long. Yep, all day long. I probably would. Probably could too. So, but today, useful items. So folk embroidery always has its roots in something that is being used. That can be folk costume that's worn for things like weddings and feast days and special occasions. It can be bed tent curtains and curtains used in a household fashion to create warmth and provide privacy. It can be cushions. Cushions are huge, especially in Greek embroidery. Embroidered cushions in Greek embroidery are actually status symbols. It basically shows like how much wealth you have is actually in your cushions. Do I love that? Oh my word, so much. So that's why in like Greek village homes of the 17th, 18th, and like 19th centuries, you would see stacks of cushions stacked up like in on built-in wooden furniture, so that you could kind of say, oh hey, we're pretty well off here. We got a lot of cushions over here. So there's this whole connection between embroidery and practicality in the world of folk embroidery. And one area that folk embroidery is used, it's interesting, this tradition that I'm talking about today is used more outside of Greece than in Greece. But there is a tradition of the Pascha Basket cloth. This tradition is much more common in Ukraine, Russia, Romania, the Balkan countries. And there's a little bit of a backstory here. So those countries have large populations of Eastern Orthodox Christians. And at Pascha, let's back up a little bit more. During Lent in the spring, it's a period of spiritual preparation for Easter. The word for Easter in Greek is Pascha, and that's the word that's used in most of these countries, is Pascha instead of Easter. And during Lent, as part of that spiritual preparation to celebrate the feast day of the resurrection of Christ, people fast. So they fast from meat, dairy, some places alcohol. It just depends. And there's all different sorts of fasting rules, but the basics are meat and dairy. And like, okay, people who have medical conditions, no, they don't fast. Children, no, they don't fast. So there's a lot of exceptions, but the kind of general practice is to fast from meat and dairy, which means that when you come to church on the resurrection service, the evening, it actually really happens, it starts about midnight, so that basically the very first moment you can celebrate the resurrection, you do. One of the things that's tied to that celebration is after the liturgy, there's usually a big feast of some kind, and parishes host this, or people go home to their homes and host a big feast. In Greece, this happens, and it's like lamb and all the really great things, and avogolomeno soup, and like all these things. And in other countries, people will bring baskets of food of all the things they haven't eaten during Lent. So this is like salami and cheeses and cured meats and things like that. And they will bring them to church to be blessed. And so in those countries that do that tradition, many families have a traditional heirloom basket cloth specifically for that purpose. And it's oftentimes made in red. It's stitched in red and white. You'll also see colored variations, and colored variations are just fine. But you see the traditional red and white because red is the color associated with the resurrection. Why is red associated with the resurrection? Well, it's almost a lecture for another day, but the short story is that the color red is actually, in the ancient color perception, is seen as a color that is both bright and dark, and it's sort of it's the color that basically is kind of the center of the way color is categorized. And it is the color of royalty. If you'll hear the word Tyrian purple or royal purple, we tend to think of that as purple, the color that we think of purple. It's not the color that we think of as purple. It's actually closer to burgundy. Or actually, if you're looking for a very precise color, I feel that DMC, is it 3858 dark rosewood, is very much a Tyrian purple color. It's got very much a brown burgundy kind of feel to it. And that color actually historically was understood to be reflective by light. And it was the color that was associated with emperors and the Byzantine court. And so it has all these overlays. It's a very rich symbolic color. So that's the color that's used. The vestments that the priests wear on the service, that midnight service, are oftentimes bright red, like bright cherry red. They're beautiful. It's really stunning. So you have everybody coming to the service. They've been fasting from meat and dairy for like 7 weeks, and they are ready to have a feast. But they got to have their feast in style. So we have to have a Pascha Basket cloth. So every year for the last number of years, I've been designing a new Pascha Basket design because so many people love making these, and you can give them as gifts. Some people give them as like a wedding gift. It makes a beautiful wedding gift for a young couple. Some people make them for their kids when they, grow up. There's lots of different traditions surrounding it. But the idea is that it's a basic square, roughly around anywhere from about 16 to 20 inches. I've seen them kind of all different sizes. You can see bigger, you can see smaller, but that's about a good size. And this year I decided to do my design in 2 shades of red. So this is actually done in the 816 garnet and the 347 coral red. I wanted that really, really red feel. This is actually a design from a vintage Romanian needlework booklet. A couple of months ago, I actually was able to procure a really old set of Romanian needlework. It was almost more like loose papers. Really, it was just a treasure trove. And this little design was in it, and I started playing around with all the different orientations. And this is my very first design that I'm calling an interrupted border. I really like this, where I thought about making the border go all the way around, but it's a very heavy border. And I wanted something that felt a little bit lighter and a little bit more interesting. So I decided to just leave these little areas here as little connecting little bits, little links, and then keep the corners really solid and big. And because I knew that when this is being shown in a basket, you're going to see the design more like that. And I just thought that looked really great. So it's kind of I wanted that contrast of both kind of a little bit of delicacy and then something very kind of geometrically bold. So this design is coming out this fall. I don't know exactly when. I think October. I think it's on the schedule for October because I wanted people to have plenty of time to buy it as a Christmas gift if they want, and to have plenty of time to work it up before next spring. So that is our Pascha Basket cloth and a little bit of background about Pascha Basket cloths in general. I had one of my basket cloth designs actually get picked up by Just Cross Stitch magazine year before. And they ran a beautiful article all on the tradition, which was really, really great. So this is really kind of a fun custom, very much rooted in the practicality of folk embroidery, which is one of the things that I love about folk embroidery, is that it's designed to be used. It's designed to be practical. It's a very practical form of beauty that we just get to appreciate, in our day-to-day lives. So thank you for joining me, and I will see you in the next video.